Hello and welcome. Welcome to this ever-expanding new now moment. It is an absolute honor and joy for me to welcome you into my presence and also for me to be in your presence. Earlier, I experienced such a small yet significant shift that I think is going to revolutionize humanity into the gnosis of who we truly are. And that shift is shifting from viewing ourselves as manifestors to knowing ourselves as creators. I know that in the world out there, there's these messages around focus your energy on that which you want, create that picture, be clear on that picture, put your energy and your joy into that, and it will manifest. So that is viewing ourselves as manifestors. The resonance that I have is the one of knowing myself as a creator. Yet, what was challenging for me is to really know myself as a creator. Because when I hear the word creator, it is a being with a god, goddess, the source of all. I'm not that. And therefore, I didn't fully embody and resonate with being a creator. And although I know that I and all of us are a small drop, a one strand, a fractal of the creator, it still didn't come into my full beingness until these last few moments that I've walked through that has brought me into this now moment. And that was the realization that that very belief has kept me from the fullness of embodying that truth. I know it as my own. So it is a huge shift that has taken place within me. And with that shift came clarity. Clarity. I know that the one drop in the ocean contains all that the whole oceanic realm contains. I know this. And all other examples that can be given. Yet that was exactly what I needed to become fully present with and continuously ask myself, many, many questions. And if I say ask myself, I mean ask Sophia within me to show me, to allow me that where I need to know for it to become clear to me. And every now and then there was these, steps of guidance that I received, and then it felt like I just went back into not really, really embodying that for myself. And then I realized, but that is the path that brings us to that moment of pure clarity. It is that moment where all just flows so graciously into the gnosis and the fullness of that gnosis of who we are. And then, therefore, why we are here and what we came to do. And I think it's important that for each one of us, as guardians, leaders, and stewards of sovereignty, is to be very, very clear, is to become very clear on that which we are here to create, contribute, and serve as, and serve from, contribute as, and contribute from, create as, and create from. And in this now moment, I know that I am clear on what time and living in the time continuum looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, and what the resonance of those frequencies are, of that density, of that which limits us. I know that because I've lived it. And then I awoke to the truth that I am through a vision that I received, and then went back into limitation. And then I remembered a little bit more and went back, and it became this continuous, gracious dance that most of the time didn't feel very gracious. It was challenging. But I knew I had to keep on walking and dancing, because somewhere it will become clear in some moment. And there were many moments that I felt I'm now clear. Just to go back again, you know? But I must say, over periods, it started to feel a little bit easier. I could stay a little bit longer in the gnosis who I am before I then went into meditation again, you know? And at some moment it felt like I've got this time continuum in indifference and all its expressions of limitation that I could ever think possible. And on the other side, having this full-on beautiful cosmic experiences and explorations. And both of them started to be a little bit more balanced within me, not wanting to, get rid of, or what's the word, or deny any of this, yet wanting it all out of my life so that I can be in this fullness that feels very different than this limited experience versus this limitless experience. this finite experience versus this infinite experience, this bounded experience versus this boundless experience. All these expressions rooted in beliefs of fear versus all these expressions and experiences rooted in truth and sovereignty. And then I realized both is here simultaneously. Both is here simultaneously. As much as on an individual level, I have, through everything that I've been through and experienced, and my soul chose me to go through an experience for myself so that I know what the depths of fear and separation and limitation looks like and the impact it has on a body and on a life. And on this side, the fullness of the gnosis, the truth of who I am and who everybody is. And now I know that on an individual level, the transcendence into year to year happens in the middle. Firstly, within myself, within the home of my soul, the soulscape of my being within my body, within this body, happens here. And then all those others around me, that is here, also searching for, yearning for, moving into this place. And all I, that was meeting myself here, always wanted to do is to let all of these people know that this is possible and to meet it within themselves. Support them through the gnosis of that which is truth and real. Yet, I deeply know that every path is sovereign. And what that means is for each to know that within them is their creator guiding them. No one outside of us can tell us, this is how you do it. No one can do that. That is what manifestation did and gurus did. But we have transformed that as a humanity. We are now supporting each other to remember that the guidance is within, the answers is within. Because what I deeply know is when you get to experience and know it for yourself, you know the truth of it. You know the truth of it because you felt it, you experienced, you know it. You know it. So there were many moments that I started to wonder, then therefore, how do I support others that I see living in one or other form of separation or limitation or fear or any of that? So I see that, and then I ask myself, who am I to tell them what to do? And that is what I was present to for many moments. And I have now come to realize that what I am here to do, to be, to contribute, to serve, to guide as, is through my sharing to create a place where people get to experience through what they hear, get to experience a truth for themselves, whatever that is, whatever that is, and to remember that the very essence, the very sovereign nature of our beings is guiding us. And to know that. And how do I know that? Because I came to experience and know that so deeply for myself. And over these last few moments, what I came to experience is the flowing into the place of knowing this so fully. Because in the gnosis of who I am as majestic, as sovereign, as crystalline, and as pristine, the very nature of who all of us are, I realized that is exactly what I was yearning to experience outside of me too, you know? Because when it becomes something outside of us, it's a reflection back to us, what we are emanating out. And I truly believe as we as guardians, stewards, and leaders of sovereignty create more conversations and spaces in community and welcome others in to experience themselves as that too, that is where the revolutionary experience of humanity is going to expand into a new crystalline vision. And what I've experienced, it's not only to be in that crystalline vision, but to remember that it's always been there. It's been the original intention of all of creation, is to experience ourselves as that which our very parents are. Our creator, the source of all of creation, God, goddess, Sophia, in her masculine and feminine expression, always. The Great Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the One, the universe, divinity, nature, all those names given, all of us come from that same source of all of creation. And although I say it is sovereign, and majestic and crystalline and pristine, and so many other words can be given to it. It almost feels like that can't even, express what that fullness is. And I believe when each one of us give expression to what we are experiencing ourselves as children of creation, if we start giving expression to that, it becomes normalized. Everybody can start hearing that language, and through hearing it, remember more and more and more to know that truth for themselves too, all of us. And coming back to both existing simultaneously is what I'm realizing, and which I want to ground here. We are not trying to get rid of this, and we don't just want to be here. I think the beauty lies in the knowing, in the gnosis and knowing that both exist simultaneously. And if we ever so gently and gracefully hold both, we will realize in the full acceptance of that and everything that comes with that, we become these alchemical presences, which means we simultaneously take both that we know is at one other time a truth somewhere, this which is out of alignment, out of harmony, out of balance, inorganic, limited, and this which is boundless, infinite. Loving, whole. And we hold both and allow both to become present and flow in the knowing that as the two of them come together, there's an alchemy that happens that allows us to experience something new. And through alchemy of both of that, we are creating something new out of that, and therefore we are creators. The very experience of that, we are creating a new consciousness, a new energy that is fully grounded in all that we've been through, that has prepared us to stand in the center and allow that alchemical transformation and transcendence to occur so organically. And to be a witness to that which is emerging through us. And through being fully present in here and now, we are also simultaneously in that which is in the time continuum, the physical reality currently around us. And yes, here we find ourselves in the timeless field, which we know we are. But we're not fully only here. We are in this continuum simultaneously. And in the center here is where we stand. And I see myself experiencing myself there so often, when I'm in especially when I'm in conversations with others around me, that is in the process of ascending and embodying, I find myself standing with them in that field and then reminding myself, come back into that timeless place so that I can, from this more expanded place of grace and the truth of who I am, be there. And then I also see there's some kind of alchemy occurring there also. I'm just aware of it. What it is, I'm not, I don't know. But I know there's something, you know, and that is a practice. And then I start engaging in the conversations and all the emotions that are expressed and experiencing out of the compassion that I have, because I relate to that place that's anchored in fear and time and all of that. And then I see it, and then I realize, no, just one step back into my true nature again. And then I'm allowing, not only being a sovereign witness to that which I'm seeing, but also that which is occurring in me because of stepping in and out. You know, this dance again. And what I'm realizing is when I'm in conversation, a conversation that is limiting in some way or another, and I start engaging there, everything in my body now tells me, whoops, step back, you know? And then I remember, but this person in front of me, firstly, has chosen for that experience to be like that, like I have chosen also on my path to be in that. And the greatest service I can do is to allow them to be in that energy, as others allow me to be in my energy when I'm in moments of feeling that I'm limited again. And through that sovereign witnessing, there's this alchemical something that happens in that moment where both of us is transformed in one way or another. Okay. Whew, so what I wanted to what I wanted to start with, and now all of that has moved through me, is when I moved into this clarity a few moments earlier, as I woke this earlier and moved into the energy that I was feeling in me, there was one word that, no, two words that came to me: sovereign magnetism. And then I received this vision that I just felt throughout my whole being. And I was moving in that energy. And then I started thinking. I took myself out of the moment into all the moments previously that I didn't experience myself as a creator, but because of that which I was sharing, how can I be the creator, you know? And then also a remembrance around manifesting and being a manifestor. So that's why I wanted to share what I've shared up until this moment. And then it came again so fully into my awareness, sovereign magnetism. And that for me is the single most revolutionary thing that will occur in all of humanity. And the foundations are being laid by all of us that has moved into this centeredness of being, living in the here and now, and having a full gnosis of who we truly are and the intention of all of creation. And the one thing that is bringing all of that into focus and into perspective and into clarity for all is sovereign magnetism. So when I saw the words in the same moment, I experienced myself as trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of particles, and all of those particles are dancing in a field. You know, so my whole body, from to my toes to my head, it's just this particles. So it's almost like this. You know, when you look at a sun ray, if you're underneath a tree and the sun comes through some of the leaves and there's a ray, then you can see all those particles in that ray. It was like that, but more fuller and fully in my body, literally in my hands, my arms, my down to my feet, up. And I saw all of that. And so I saw all the particles, trillions and trillions and trillions. And then simultaneously, I saw this almost like a hair connecting all those particles. And it started to move like this. And in that same moment, I experienced that which I know that I am, which is my soul's essence. So I know I must, in this body is my soul's essence, in its purest distilled essence, full from my head to my toes. As with you, it's it's not unique to me. Everybody is that. Never say everybody. All humans, plants, animals, crystals, minerals, is these particles and then strands of light weaving and breathing all those particles. And then I saw that fully in me. So I saw myself as, and the word that's coming to me right now is as consciousness. And as I saw that, I realized if I move my hands like this, all those trillions of particles and then strands is also, it's beaming out from my hands, my whole body, but it feels more intense in my hands and my feet. It beams out, and I almost see, like, as I do this, it's like taking the strands that's outside of me, and it becomes this, the particles around me and within me meets through my hands. And I started seeing that, and I experienced that, and it felt so light and beautiful, majestic. And as I was experiencing that, again, the words came to me, sovereign magnetism. And in that moment, I remember so fully that moment when all of us were still only in the primordial womb or place in space of our Creator, our Mother, Father. So the vision I have within me is this, our Mother, Father being one consciousness, but this purity, soul's essence that I just described, or tried to put words to, but I'm sure you're familiar with that soul's essence, but times infinitely. that, so it feels like infinite, that in here, which is our divine mother father, and all of us as souls are in there. So our soul's essence are within our mother father's presence and essence. Before there was any light even. So in this most sovereign womb of the cosmos, all the soul's essences, and infinitely so, held within the essence of our mother father. And then there came a spark of light into that, and gave light and therefore life to all of this consciousness. And then each one of us as a soul, as one of those particles, yet with all the essence of all that, of our divine mother father, all of those essences are in each one of our souls. And it traveled throughout the whole cosmos, and the cosmos was formed. And we experienced ourselves as gas, as rocks, as, and then we experience ourselves as crystals. We experience ourselves as all the minerals. We experience ourselves as all the plants, as all the animals, and then all the people. And all of that is in each one of our soul's essences. So beautifully blended with all those qualities, yet I don't think that's the word. But I think it's easier to use the word to try to give description to that, those qualities that is already known to us. Because I think that normalizes it a bit. Because I truly cannot put to words the experience of that which I just try to put now in few words, in a few sentences. But that whole field of creation with all our soul's essences moving through it, that is who we are. And those qualities, as I shared in many of my transmissions already, it cannot describe it, but those words, which only limits that which that is. But for now, that's what we have to share with, is those words, which is absolutely, and that is, if I share these words, that is the very essence that's in each one of us. Because that very essence is the very essence of the whole cosmos, of our divine mother father consciousness giving birth to all of us as children. And the greatest, or the only, or the most significant, whatever word you want to put to it, birth ever given is Gaia Sophia, our earth, the planet on which all of us then can come into as souls, and the planet that then give to us all those elements and minerals that forms our bodies, so that we can get birthed into a body. And that is what sovereign magnetism is. So in that moment where light were given to us, and life was given to us through our divine parents as a soul, that essence that we are, which is present simultaneously and continuously so, and eternally so, in this whole cosmic heart field or field of creation. That is who all of us are. Doesn't matter how awake or ascended or embodied we are. That's the one thing we all are. And all of us has traveled and are still traveling through this whole cosmos, which is all within us. Yeah, it's all within us. And then that is our sovereign magnetism, our soul's essence. Because what it does, it is because we are light beings, living light. That living light, the soul that we are, the essence of all that we are, that living essence, which we always have been and always will continue to be, because we are eternally that. And that who we are in that most exquisite, benevolent, majestic, sovereign and crystalline field of creation, which I refer to as our heart field, that is who we are and all of us, all that, and all the qualities that's in that field are within all of us and within all animals and all plants and all minerals and all crystals and all elements. Always have been and always will be so. Just breathe that through for it to be grounded here. That's who we are. And then we chose to come into a body, to experience ourselves as that in a body. Yet everything that has brought us to that fullness of that experience and the depths of the knowings of that, all of that is what our souls all individually has chosen to come and transform and transcend, and then therefore be in the fullness and the wholeness of our true nature in form. And that's why I say that will be the revolutionary shift for all to remember their sovereign magnetism, which is innately in them, can't be anywhere else. Your soul is here. Your soul essence is here. The whole cosmos is here. And you are not here alone. I'm not here alone. Firstly, we are all here within ourselves, together with, and always and only together with our Creator, the source of all of creation, in feminine and masculine expression. Family, I wanted to say. But I suppose that's what it is within ourselves. We are sovereign families because we are our divine mother, our divine father, and we are the divine children, and we are one. We are one family within ourselves. And each one of us are that. And as sovereign leaders, guardians, and stewards, we are here to give birth to this gnosis, that the very sovereign magnetism of our being, the unified presence of our divine mother, father, and child, we are seeding sovereign magnetism. We are seeding the gnosis of the truth of who all of us are and all of creation is. Therefore, not only all humans, but all animals and all plants and all crystals and all minerals. Yes, I know. When you walk out of your home right now, I know that's not what you're going to see right now. It is a shift that first needs to occur for all of us. Because when there's a shift in each one of us, we start radiating that out. Then as the shift has already happened within you, you start radiating that out. And as the shift already happened in you, you start radiating out. And we start forming these sovereign communities. And in each one of these sovereign communities, all of us start radiating that out. And only when all of that individually and as communities, we start radiating out, only then when we walk out the door, that will be all that all of us see all of the time. Because there is a transformation, there's a transcendence and the transformation and the embodiment, and it's all going to the fullness whenever they choose to do so. Whenever they choose to do so. And that's why we are not seeing that fully yet when we walk out of our homes, because that collective humanity in collective fields of consciousness are not all aligned yet in that. But as soon as that occurs, that is going to be our reality. That is going to be our reality. And I think that the practice that we have is when we walk out of this door and we see this and not this, to go like this and remind ourselves we are that now. And we're going to walk and walk as that wherever we go. And those who are ready to receive that will come to us and ask, you look very joyous while there's a war going on the planet. Why is that so? And then we start sharing with them. You know? And not share the whole full story. Because I remember the very first time when I heard about ascension, I heard about enlightenment, I heard about, you know, so many words, you're a creator, about, you know, all these things. And I remember at the beginning, it was all just too much for me. It was overwhelming because I didn't resonate with that. I wasn't aligned to hear all of that yet. And that is what a path is to start becoming aware of when we hear that, because everywhere and everyone that was sharing that with me, when I started hearing that, all of them were also seeds of sovereignty, already creating the seed in me, or creating a shift in me, in my knowing, not knowing into knowingness, you know. So all have served me in all the ways that I've heard about it, because I became curious and I knew always I need to go within. Because when I started to, you know, do some readings or searching out of this curiosity or started talking to others, the messages was different. There wasn't coherence. There wasn't, you know, and therefore I had to really, really go deep within myself and ask the questions, only to find out that their Sophia was already guiding me since the moment I was birth already. Didn't know this, but I know that now. I know that now. She, in her masculine and feminine expression, I just realized I've shared both hands. Both of them were holding my hands. Because sometimes I experienced her as feminine and sometimes I experienced her as masculine. And at some stage she shared with me. She showed me a one being where I'm within the two of them, just like each one of us are. And then she shows me only her and only him and only her and only him and then me. And then, you know, this dance. And all of that was to not only guide me in you know, small incremental steps, but my body was ready to receive. My energy was ready to alchemize ever so gently, so that it doesn't become this overload in my body, because that's what I know now. If that which I shared now with you was shared with me when I just woke up to the truth of who I am, and then the whole path that I had to walk. When someone shared all of that, of I heard myself now, my whole system, if I say system, I mean my whole body would have just, there's a word that just, when it's like a electrical flow that's a short, and then all goes out. It's something like that will happen to our bodies. And that's where I so deeply honor my body, that it has so graciously and gently, and many, many times very painfully, supported me to move through. And if I say body supported me, my body is the one thing that was with me since I was birthed. All of our bodies are with us when we are birthed by our biological parents. And it's not to, I often hear people say, there's a word. No, I don't know what's the word. It's not to, make it painful for us. I thought so also at some stage. Why is my, angry at my body? But now I know every one of those sensations in my body, if I don't give a name to them, it's just energy that's moving around in my body. And that is what I've learned over time, is to become so, if I feel an emotion, to really be in it, to go to it, go and sit with that energy. And soon I feel the energy shifting, but that's a whole different conversation. What I'm saying is, what I do know now is I always identify myself as my body, because that is what others see and refer to, and I experience. And the shift for me is to realize that I'm an eternal being of light with the sovereign magnetism that continuously magnetize all the elements and particles of creation through this magnetism, to create this body in every moment, in any moment, so that I can experience myself as this light being and heart filled, that I know that I am in human form, and to transcend this very human form from the biological inheritance of a two-stranded DNA, if I can use that language for now, to transform that into the gnosis and fully occupying the 12, 24, how many ever strands of crystalline inheritance from Sophia. And that whole transformation happens through the sovereign magnetism of our soul's essence, very organically, when we become aware of it. And for me, that is the key, is awareness, shifting the awareness from the one to the other, and the awareness of self as the truth of who we are. That very awareness brings the awareness into, therefore, the sovereign magnetism of our soul's essence. And the only way I know this is that because I experienced it in this moments before I came to make and ground this knowing, is what Sophia showed me. This very, what I started off with all these particles and light strands moving through my body. Moving. I didn't even think about my body in that moment. I think it's probably the first time that I only experienced myself fully in my light body, in my crystalline, sovereign, magnetic, majestic, pristine light body. It's just before I'm making this now. Those particles and light strands, just so. And I wasn't aware of my heart being in the center of it. It felt like my heart was in each one of those particles in strand. And what I now, just when I say that, what I'm realizing is my heart. I just realized that I know in my previous transmission, can't now even think what was the name. That I still, and other transmissions before that, I referred to heart, and then in the center of each one of our cells, our heart in each one of them. I just realized my awareness has now shifted to my heart field being present fully simultaneously and eternally so in each one of my cells. And that are all the particles and all the light then weaving and breathing through all of my cells. And each one of them magnetizing the elements and minerals for each one of those cells to be created, renewed, regenerated into their full gnosis too. To you. So besides hearing sovereign magnetism, the deep knowing that came just into my whole being was a clarity around my purpose of being here. I always suspected it's this. Now I know. It's like there was a crystallization that has occurred. And probably because of that, I experienced myself this morning as this heart field, with which every particle of my being is that heart field, the whole heart field. And then as I'm that, each one of us are that too. All people, all animals, all plants, all crystals, all minerals, and all elements are that. And each one of us here to become clear on why we came here, what we came here to do, to be very clear on that. So what I'm going to do with that, I don't know yet, but for now I'm clear on what it is. And I came to realize everything that I've been through until this moment was around my physical body. A pain here, an ache here, my spine being out of alignment, my hips being out of alignment, and all of that for each one of them has got a different story. And as I'm voicing that, I'm realizing each one of my stories that I gave to that has kept those places of discomfort or unalignment in place. And as I moved through a process gradually so to allow myself to fully step into a new story. I'm also allowing ever so gently to let all those stories go. And it's not that I never wanted to let go of them. It's just, it's memories. It takes us, our stories takes us back to experiences. It takes us back to a place in experiences. And as I'm saying that, I'm realizing Therefore, it keeps us in a time continuum and therefore keeps us in a time matrix. That which I shared in one of my previous shares. When living in the here and now, we are moving from our vertical time continuum and all the different stories that has kept different pains and aches in my body in place on this continuum, in this matrix of time and space. If we let all those stories also as that linear time continuum, each one of those stories are taken out of that, and we allow ourselves to move that into this vertical alignment with our Divine Mother Father in the fullness and wholeness of that which is experienced fully in the here and now. It allows also for all those stories that was anchored in each one of those lines to, and anchored in each one of those places in our bodies to also go. Let those stories go. The story when I fell and broke my jaw and all the trauma that was stuck here, let that story go. And hurt myself here, let that story go. And when I fell and hurt this, let that story go. That brought this hip out of, let that story go. When for that operation and this happened, let that story go. When for that, through that experience and lost a child, let that story go. And we, all of those stories. Do we just let it go in one moment? No. That is something that I've been present to. And each one of us, on each one of our paths that has brought us here now. We've walked through those stories and we looked at those stories from all directions. The pain associated with it and the discomfort. And how can we get rid of this pain, And maybe this is not even your story of having something in your body. Maybe there's other stories that you have, It's all just stories that is keeping us from fully being in the here and now. And as I now know and fully are aware of my awareness not being somewhere, my awareness or consciousness or attention or focus or any of that isn't any one of these stories any longer, because they've served me. I suppose that's also what soul's integration is in a different way, in a different word, because the same stories is also in different dimensions, because all dimensions in this time continuum, that is also somewhere in other galaxies and universes, all of that, when I let go of all of those stories, when I lived in Sirius and did that, and the Pleiades this, and in Egypt this, and all of those stories that I've walked through and experienced, and has taken the wisdom from that as I was moving through all of that into this incarnation, into this body, and then the whole path of this line, and the realization that I'm none of that. I am my soul essence that has been on a journey through all of that has brought me here now with a different purpose. As the sovereign leaders, guardians, and stewards that we are here now, each with our unique purpose, and to be clear on what that is, so that we can start creating that which we know we are here to create. We've laid the foundations. Now we are creating it and co-creating it. None of us are doing it in isolation. We are co-creating it because we know that which we are creating can only be in the co-creation as our Divine Mother Father has co-created our us as children has co-created, you know, all the universes and galaxies, but more specifically, has co-created Gaia, Sophia, the earth of our being, the very material that gives us bodies. We are the expressions of Gaia, Sophia. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have a body. And when we realize, but we are the very essence and consciousness of our Divine Mother, our Divine Father, and our divine, the divine child, the material of consciousness coming into form, which all of us are birthed through and birthed as. In the here and now, through our sovereign magnetism that comes through that, because that all, that gnosis of the knowing of, you know, of that is what we're realizing, is that the sovereign magnetism of the consciousness that we are since moments just before all was created, that magnetism and the sovereignty of that is the essence that is fully alive now in our bodies. So each one of us to now become clear on, with this gnosis, what are we here to create as the creators that we are? Sovereign co-creators that we are. And my excitement and joy is coming through, start to seeing that in sovereign communities, where there's both this vulnerability of knowing that each one of us has been through this path from feeling separate from, to this path of knowing that we are one with, that has brought us into this fullness of our soul's essence being fully here in our bodies. So being vulnerable and courageous enough to do that, and creating spaces then therefore for others to come here to also be witnessed in their realization of this. And as all of us start doing that, you know, it will start spreading. So I also know that which I are now clear on what I'm starting to co-create with others is those that is going to have similar or aligned clarities on what their purpose is. All of them is going to come together, I think, as in communities, and start creating that. So what I'm now clear on is, although I always had this feeling in me that I wanted to serve, because that's what I'm seeing. So that's what I was basing it on, is people that's already embodied, that's only serving those already embodied, you know. And I couldn't resonate with that, because I continuously coming back to the knowing that there's spaces needed, if that's the word, so safe sovereign containers or places, communities needed, where all in their expression are welcomed, whether only becoming aware, or those still ascending, or those starting to embody, or those already embodied. I think there's places needed where all of that is welcomed, because I know that through the path that I specifically walked, and I know there's many out there that has also got that same knowingness, is is we can hold a space for all of that consciousness. Because when you start holding spaces for all of that consciousness, there will always be in that community one of each one of those, one or two of each one of those phases. And as we witness each other in this being sovereign witnesses to that, we are not only seeing ourselves also like that, but we are transforming all of those specific phases and stages of growth and realization and expansion. We are simultaneously weaving all of that transformation and transcendence into the field. Not only this one layer, because I know layer is not the right word, not only some of it. We are simultaneously weaving all of that into place. So why I'm sharing that is, therefore, what I'm now clear on is the one thing that was always in the forefront for my awakening, ascension, and embodiment, always on the forefront. And I only realized that a few moments ago. I knew it, but it became very clear, very, very clear. When the word sovereign magnetism came up, I knew, in that moment, I knew, am my body magnetizing the sovereignty of all particles and minerals to form my body? And I never, ever in my life asked that question before. That was the very first time I asked that question, when I heard when I saw those words. And then Sophia came in so clearly. It's like I almost had to recognize that first, and then the guidance come as it do. And it was in her feminine expression. And she said to me, there's a masculine, a feminine, and a child. So it's three, Trinity. So there's a trinitized, if that's a word, a trinitized shift that has occurred in my realization just before I saw the words sovereign magnetism. So she wanted me to first see have this experience still, and then see that, and then know that. And the Trinitized come from, there's a masculine, a feminine, and a child expression that is one integrative knowing. And the one is, and I wrote it down so that I can remember, because I know sometimes I can, I start sharing, then I just want to bring myself back to what she showed me, because it's new to me. It seems so obvious and simple, yet it is so clear to me now, because that's exactly what has shifted for me. It's exactly what has shifted for me. It's exactly what shifted for me. And as I saw that, I realized, okay, that is why I'm here. And I started asking the question yesterday, am I really clear on why I am here? Really clear. Yes, I know what I want to see. The one crystalline home, and everybody being in their crystalline essence, and recreating as sovereign co-creators, creating that visions that we know that is in us. But the truth is, there's something that needs to be grounded through that which each one of us has been through. There's something that needs to be grounded in the collective for that truth that I know to come into being. The crystalline vision to come into being. There's something that needs to be anchored to support, that has supported me from feeling separate to feeling completely unified, and that centeredness that has brought me here. something has occurred. And I know a lot of things have, but I wasn't very clear until this morning. This is what it is, and this is what I'm here therefore to anchor and ground and therefore support others. Because you can only really be and support others when you've walked through it, as you know. You know this. You already lived it. Okay, so what is it? So remember, I know it's about the body. So it is about the embodiment of our sovereign nature and our sovereign essence. Those particles that I saw, what has brought me to the knowing what has brought me to the knowing that that is the truth that I saw this morning and imprinted in me. The first one is, so it's all three is around the body. It's as I say, it's as simple as can be, but it's really clear to me. That which I'm grounding now was my versus is my. Was my body, yeah, in the seemingly separated linear experience? Was my body loved? Was my body safe? And was my body alive? So did I experience full body love? Did I experience full body safety? And did I experience full body aliveness? And the answer to all three of those questions was no. No. Do I now feel full body loved? Yes. Do I feel full body safe? Absolutely yes. Do I feel full body alive? Absolutely yes. And that is the shift that I came here through the path that I've walked to embody the sovereignty of the truth of who I am, that I came here to ground for others. Because through each one of my paths, those are the themes that I only now know. It's just so clear as can be. And so I'm not going to share too much because this is now a new clarity that I have. So what I want to ground here is that is the shift. And chances are when you're watching this transmission, something about that resonate with you. Firstly, and then secondly, that through the knowing of this, there's some form of co-creation that is starting to come into being. Okay, so the one around, let's start with safety. And so as I said, I'm just going to share high level now. I will probably make another transmission at some stage. I don't know. But for now, high level, there's a lot that I can say, but I'm very aware that I already said a lot. Yet I'm very aware that this needs to be grounded here now. So safety. My soul has chosen to birth into a country and a continent that felt unsafe for me, my body. So the climate and culture on the continent and country, and therefore the community, reflected into the community that I was born into, all of that felt very unsafe to me. And now I can say it from a place of neutrality. Everything, I felt unsafe. And therefore in that, I didn't want to be be seen in my soul's essence. That felt unsafe. I didn't want to drive alone because you get hijacked when you drive alone. I didn't want to stay in a house because the house get broken into. So that is physical things. And then, so there's physical unsafety, and then there's emotional unsafety. Being between children, adults, any ages, wanting to, just be myself, and then not feeling safe in the remarks that's coming my way. Whether it is, oh, you're fat, or, oh, why do you dress so inappropriate? Anything didn't feel safe emotionally. And the words that was heard, So it's the physical experience of not feeling safe, the emotional experience of not being safe, and the mental experience of not feeling safe. Because when I started sharing anything that I know, it was almost, oh, you think you know too much, or this or that or the other, always some remark. So mental unsafety as well. And not only that, not only in my beingness, but also how I view and look at the world. In the construction of and view of didn't feel safe in that. So on all three of those levels, I didn't feel safe in my body. So every time when I hear something around thinking, there was this in my brain, and in my body. And something about emotion, there was this also. And then when and I can tell so many stories, when they broke into my house or this or that, there was this emotional fear of, of being unsafe. So it is on all those, not feeling safe in my body in this time matrix. So moving from that to completely in my rebirthing into the truth of who I am as a divine child, immaculately conceived by the source of all of creation, my divine mother, father, and the very material of the earth, bringing my body into being, so that I, as a crystalline light body, can have a body to experience myself, transcending consciousness, and the safety that comes with that. That is, safety is not even a word. But if I have to put a word to just describe the shift, it will be that. Being so safely held by my divine parents. And sometimes feeling myself as the divine mother. Sometimes I feel myself as the divine father. And other times, most of the times, I feel myself as a divine child now. So what I've transformed into. So, so being a child born into the knowing of who I am, and the safety that comes with that. So, and therefore, the relaxing or softening into the absolute beauty and magic and magnificence of having a body that's forming with every breath. That soft safety. So, as a child, the very material of, okay, so that is safety. Then, so safety that is shifted from year to year into this gnosis now in the center. And then, so that's the child, as a child feeling safe, and the innocence that comes with that. So that was the one shift, or which is now the message of what I'm here to ground, for people to feel safe in who they are, in their whole body. And loved. So when I was born, my soul chose to have the experience not to feel loved. And that started bang on while I was still in my mother. The day or two before I was born, they were in a car accident. So already I got the sense something happened. So that also links to safety, but something there shifted where I didn't feel held when that shock happened in that moment. And my mother, how does my mother now know in her is I'm forming and don't feel particularly safe in the shock of what she went through, because I felt that, you know. So I'm not going to go too deep into, because I can say a lot about that, but it's not the purpose for now. Besides not also being formed in the consciousness of love while the fetus was still forming, which I chose. And then when I was born, I immediately went into what's that, where you go into when you can't breathe on your own? I went into that glass box. And so I didn't feel my mother or my father. I was immediately in there. And so I didn't feel the love in that moment that I came out of my mother, onto this earth plane. And many, many other stories of not feeling loved by, family or friends or whoever, it's so I didn't feel loved in my body. And the shifting into not only knowing that I am love, firstly, but secondly, also the knowing that I'm not only loved like, this, I am loved with all particles of creation, which is all my divine mother, father, all of it. And all of that loves me. It's a lot. Eternally so. And that love is not outside of me. That too, but the essence of it is within me, in every particle, in every cell of my body, in all the organs and muscles and bone, everywhere. There I am in unity with my mother, my father, and me as child, loved all of the time, in every moment, eternally so. That's how loved I am and you are. And therefore we are that. We become that because we know that. And that's what I'm also here to anchor and ground. Not feeling safe to being safe. Not feeling loved to being loved. So what I got here by safety is the child, and then by loved is by the divine parents. So by both being loved, by both divine mother and divine father, and in the unified presence and expression as well. Because there's a whole path that I had to go on to know that both is one. And she showed me so beautifully, and then he shows me so beautifully, and then my child shows me so beautifully that it's safe, that I'm loved. And the third one is the aliveness in my body. So I also chose to come in as a soul, to go through different experiences that will break parts of my body. If I say break parts, broke my jaw, broke different parts. There's traumatic experience in the hospital because there was flesh within Tord, and many things, but always body related, and a lot of them bone related. And therefore I know that in those places is where aliveness and regeneration and restoration occurred, so that every single cell in my body can move from the pain and the fear that was held in each one of those stories, in each one of those accidents or experiences that caused my body to physical body, and then also my emotional body and mental body, and then light bodies. All of that on all those levels were experiences to remember the aliveness and eternal aliveness in each one of my cells in my body. So that's why when there's any experiences where we don't feel loved or we don't feel safe, we can't feel fully alive, because it breaks down or damages cells. And especially if we go through experiences that shocks us, these cells dies, So all those experiences that I've been through has moved me from knowing the aliveness in my body as it's regenerated, as I was doing all the different healings and shifts and transcendences that needed to occur to get to a place of now moving from not feeling fully alive in every cell in my body to now feeling not only alive in every cell of my body, but feeling that every cell is continuously regenerating through its crystalline nature and expression all of the time, eternally so. Ooh. And I had to look down to remember what was written there. And in that aliveness, it's this. So the love by divine mother father, the safety as divine child, the aliveness in the continuous remembrance emerging in the here and now of the living light that I am, and that every cell of my being and every subatomical article, molecule of my body is, through the crystalline chromosomes in each one of my DNA strands, in each one of your DNA strands. The very crystalline nature, that living light of our soul's essence, our divine inheritance, which all of us have. That aliveness is the living light, the living light of our divine Father, the living love of our divine Mother, the living conception and birthing of divine child, continuously in our crystalline nature, in our chromosomes, and therefore in each one of our cells, regenerating, rejoicing in the knowing of that. And therefore the body feels very alive. And then all this cosmic crystalline light that keeps on flowing in, so that we can experience and regenerate ourselves from that light. We start doing so in every new now moment, and that is our sustenance. It sustains our bodies so that we can have this magical experience of knowing ourselves and being ourselves as crystalline consciousness in form through our very sovereign magnetism, to magnetize our crystalline nature and truly feel what it knows know what it feels like to be fully alive in every cell, in every hair, in every place in our bodies. And that being our sustenance and our nurturance. And then to know ourselves as the creators we are. And when we create, we always co-create with our Divine Mother Father. And that for me is what true co-creation is. The sovereign magnetism of the consciousness of being one with our Divine Mother Father, and we as children here to express and experience ourselves in bodies, feeling safe, feeling loved, and feeling so very alive, eternally so. And so it is. And I know this is true for you too. And I almost want to go as far to say, you know this already. I'm just reminding you. That's why you are here. To remember the fullness of that. To be that, to experience that in every now, new moment. Eternally so. The sovereign compass that I made a recording of a while back, the essence of that compass is where our sovereign magnetism is. But the shift that I'm feeling is it's not only here in the heart anymore. It's now our whole body is that. So it feels like my whole body became my heart. It's a very new experience for me, and I will still integrate that as I move through every moment from this moment forward, as I usually do. But I just want to ground that here and to share that with you, so that we, as we all remember this truth, to also get very clear on how does that look like for me now. Because I'm sharing it, but how does it look like for me in the next moment when I make a cup of tea, or when I make food, or when I go and talk to my mother, or when I go for a walk, or when I go to the bathroom, or when I go to sleep, or when I draw something. In all that I am, how is this heart and this very sovereign magnetism of my being giving expression to that knowingness, and through doing so, bringing alive the aliveness and the love and the safety that I am in new ways from this moment on. And so it is. Let's do a short just grounding in our bodies very briefly, because a lot has been shared. So when you're ready, you can ever so gently and gracefully, if that feels good to you, close your eyes and move your awareness to the center of your heart, to the center of each one of the cells in your heart, to the center of each one of the cells of your lungs, to the center of each one of the cells of your head bone, each one of those cells. Move your awareness to each one of them simultaneously. And then to the center of each one of your cells in your jaw, your ears, your nose, your eyes, your mouth, your tongue, your teeth, your neck, each one of your cells. Put your awareness in each one of your cells. In your neck, notice how your skull is gently laying upon the very top of your spine. Your awareness in each one of the cells in your first vertebra of your spine. And just notice how your awareness is moving to the center of each one of the cells, or each one of your vertebrae, simultaneously in all 33 vertebrae, down your spine to your tailbone. Move your awareness there. Now move your awareness to the center of each one of the cells of your ribs, the left side and the right side. Now your awareness to the center of your collarbones, your arms, your fingers, each one of the bones. And then awareness to the center of each one of your cells in your hips, your pelvic floor, your legs, and the bones in your feet. So your awareness are now simultaneously in the center of each one of your cells in your whole skeleton. This beautiful physical structure. And in the center of each one of your cells, through your whole bone structure, from your skull to your toes, your fingers, just become aware that in the center of each one of those cells, there you are. Your awareness is there in the heart of each one of your cells. And feel the aliveness. Feel the safety. And feel the love there in the center. In the knowing that you are there always and only as one with your mother, father, the source of all light and all life. God, Goddess, Sophia. One living, light-filled, heart-filled, the very sovereign magnetism of your presence and awareness there in every moment, renewing and regenerating each one of these cells as they dance in their crystalline nature, in their sovereign nature, in their pristine nature, in their majesty, in their benevolence, as a trinitized presence. And now move your awareness to the cells in each one of your cells in your brain, your whole brain, stem of your brain, and again to each one of the cells in your heart, and again to each one of the cells in your lungs, and now also down into your stomach, your liver, your gallbladder, your pancreas, your small intestine, your large intestine, your womb. And now simultaneously see yourself in the center in each one of those cells, in each one of your organs, your brain and your womb. And see yourself sitting there, standing there, dancing there. And feel the aliveness in each one of those cells as you see yourself in the heart of each one of those cells, always and only in unity with your mother and father, the source of all of living, all love and all light. Yes. And you as child, the Trinitized presence, weaving and breathing as one, loved, safe, alive. And the sovereign magnetism, through that aliveness, regenerating your crystalline nature, magnetized into beingness. And now take your awareness to the center of each one of your cells, in each one of your muscles, in your head, in your neck, your arms, your hands, the front of your torso, the back of your torso, front of your lower back, the back of your lower back, your bum, your legs and your feet, and the muscle in each one of those muscles in the center of each one of those cells. See yourself standing there in full presence of your Divine Mother Father, the one source light, and love, and the safety, and the sovereign magnetism of your unified presence, weaving and breathing as one. And now take your awareness to each one of your teeth and all of your nails and all of your hair on your body, from your head to your toes. And see yourself sitting in the center of each one of those cells, as one with your Divine Mother, Father, and you as child, and the sovereign magnetism that comes with that. Your very sovereign inheritance to be here as the living crystalline child that you are, informing each one of these cells of you to come into life, the very sovereign magnetism of your essence, your unified presence, weaving and breathing this body into being for you and all of us and all of your cells, to feel alive, to feel safe, to feel loved in this unified presence that we are, that we're here to ground, that we're here to create as, to create through, to create from, to serve as, to serve from, to create, serve through. And now take your awareness to all the places and spaces in between all of your cells, the very subatomic nature of your being, the subatomic nature, your atomic nature, and the sovereignty of that, your very crystalline essence. In each one of your DNA strands, your crystalline inheritance, in this subatomic gnosis of who you know yourself to be. See yourself in the center of all of that. And now feel how safe and loved and alive you feel in the knowing that you are here to experience yourself as this, and now grounding this as a new gnosis, so that our bodies can acclimate firstly, and then to start to regenerate and then start creating so gracefully in this unified presence with our Divine Mother Father. As we breathe the very holy breath through each one of our cells and between each one of our cells, the very waters of our being and the sovereignty of that gives us life, that brings our light, our soul's light into, through the waters and breath of our being, into form, so that we can experience our true sovereign and crystalline nature in form, to experience that and to give expression to that through all that we create, through all that we co-create. Through every breath, in every new now moment. And now you can gently and gracefully open your eyes. And also now notice how this sovereign magnetism that is flowing and circulating through each one of your cells, around each one of your cells, up through your spine, to your head, down through your arms, to your hands, to the very nails of your hands, down through your ribs, through your sit bones, out through your tailbone, through your legs, to your feet, and moving into and through the emanation of who you are into the place where you're sitting in, standing in, or laying in your home, and radiating out to your community, radiating out to all the people and the hearts of all the people in your community, to all the plants in your community, to all the animals. Almost created a new word. Radiate it out to the hearts of each one of the plants and animals, all the crystals, all the minerals in your community, your home. And now all of that, amplify it to your whole continent, and all the people on your continent, all the animals on your continent, all the plants on your continent, all the minerals on your continent, all the elements in your continent. And now all other continents, as we meet through the heart of each one of us on the whole globe, all the continents, all the animals on all of the continents, all of the plants on all of the continents, all of the minerals on all of the continents, all of the crystals on all of the continents, and all of the elements on all of the continents. The sovereign magnetism touching into all of that. And now through all of the waters surrounding all of the continents, and all of the air that's flowing within and around all of the communities and countries and continents, and also all the air that's flowing through all of the waters, all of the oceans and the rivers, all the pools, all the streams and waterfalls, and even in all the pipes in all the homes, all of that. The heart of each one of those particles through each one of those places and spaces, grounding our sovereign essence as we co-creating and co-weaving and co-grounding all of that. And now out to all of the galaxies around your hearts and all other galaxies around our solar system, through the very Milky Way now. Bodies, the Milky Way, our galaxy to all other galaxies, grounding in the crystalline center, Gaia Sophia, in the center of our heart, in the center of each one of our cells, all galaxies and all universes touching into the cosmos. And know the sovereign magnetism in this one unified presence of our sovereign essence and each one of our soul and sovereign essences. All those one unified presences, all of that, they're moving back through all of those universes, galaxies, Milky Way, sun, our moon, planets, center of our hearts. So it is. Grounding the sovereign magnetism of the sovereign essence of our unified presence, of our divine Mother Father, Gaia Sophia. And we as the crystalline expressions of that. And so it is. Thank you for being here with me to co-create and ground this with me. And may you, in every new now moment, every breath, know this more fully. The love that we are, the safety that we are, and the very aliveness that we can experience in this physical bodies as we magnetize ourselves into being in every moment as a unified presence. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you dearly. I love you deeply. And I love you wholeheartedly. And that wholeheartedly from the heart of each one of my cells and all the spaces in between. Thank you. Till the next meal.